Blender is considered one of the best 3D software overall, but is it a good choice for VFX? Many VFX artists rely on other 3D packages to do their work, and they don't consider the free and open source software that is capable of making professional looking visual effects. In this video, we are going to dive deep into all the tools and features that Blender offers for VFX artists to help them reach their end result, whether it's be movies, TV shows, or commercials. So without further ado, let's get started. This video is brought to you by Learn to Make Looping Animations, a Blender course that teaches you to create 4 high-quality looping animations step by step. Check it out in the link below. Particle System. Blender Particle System is used to simulate large amounts of small moving objects that can react to many different influences and forces. It has 2 main types, which are hair, which you can use to create hair, fur, grass, and bristles. And the other type is emitter, which can be used to create high-quality visual effects like fire, smoke, dust, blizzards, and so on. Now all the other 3D software that are used to create those big project VFX movies and commercials, except for Houdini, rely on add-ons like VFX and Thinking Particles to do their work. These add-ons can't be on Blender side because of its open source nature and the GPL license, which makes the source code for their tools available for others to use. Also, after the release of the geometry node feature in Blender, many Blender artists started to use it as a replacement for the particle systems in some areas, because it can produce really cool visual effects. After all, we can still say that Blender is capable of creating high quality VFX with its particle system and geometry nodes features. Rigid body and soft body simulation. Blender rigid body simulation involves the collision between 2 solid objects. It affects the position and the orientation of the objects and does not deform them. Also, the rigid body on Blender can be used like regular objects and be parts of animation constraints and drivers. Soft body simulation. The soft body simulation system in Blender was designed in the first place to add secondary motion to animation, like jiggle for body parts of a moving character, for example. It is used to simulate soft deformable objects that bend and react to forces like gravity and wind, or collide with other objects and self-collide between themselves. Now both the rigid body and the soft body systems are considered a bit slow by some artists using Blender, but I think that with the rapid pace of Blender development, this problem will be solved. Cloth simulation. Blender has a good cloth simulator that is used to create 2D meshes like fabric, flags, banners, and also 3D objects such as teddy bears, pillows, balloons, and balls. You can also deform your cloth objects through forces like wind and other moving objects. Also, the Blender community developers has been making some really good cloth simulation add-ons like modeling cloth add-on, which made the process of creating cloth in Blender easier and faster. Fluid simulation. Fluid physics are used to simulate physical properties of liquids, especially water, and to have liquid simulation in Blender, you have to have a domain to define the space that the simulation takes up. In the domain settings, you will be able to define the global simulation parameters such as velocity and gravity, for example. And with Blender new MentaFlow framework, the process of creating liquids in Blender became faster and more efficient. Also, you can use some Blender add-ons that gives you really high quality fluid simulations like Flip Fluid, for example. Motion tracking. Blender motion tracking tools are good enough to create professional camera tracking for your shots. It supports a couple of very powerful tools for 2D tracking and 3D motion reconstruction, including camera tracking and object tracking, as well as some special features like the plane track for compositing. Tracks can also be used to move and deform masks for rotoscoping in the mask editor, which is available as a special mode in the movie clip editor. After all, Most big studios use Nuke for motion tracking and compositing, but you can still use Blender motion tracking tools because they get the job done. Compositing. Blender has a pretty good compositor that allow you to use nodes to enhance render visual quality by a lot sometimes. And to process your image with the compositor, you use the nodes to import the image into Blender, change it, optionally merge it with other images, and finally save it. Using the Blender compositor, you can enhance the colors of a single image or an entire movie clip in a static manner or in a dynamic way that changes over time as the clip progresses. In this way, you use composition nodes to both assemble video clips together and enhance them. Now, as we said earlier, most studios rely on Nuke to do their compositing, but Blender Compositor is always getting new features like the real-time compositing feature in almost every new release. Video editing. Blender has a complete video editing system known as the video sequencer. You can use this system by loading multiple video clips and lay them end to end, or in some cases overlay them, inserting fades and transition to link the end of one clip to the beginning of another. Finally, you can add audio and synchronize the timing of the video sequence to match it. Also, this system gives you the ability to combine multiple video channels and add effects, and you can use these effects to create powerful video edits, especially when you combine it with the animation power of Blender. Blender Video Sequencer is a good choice for doing basic video editing for most VFX artists. After all, more and more artists and studios are starting to use Blender to do some VFX, and I think that the rapid pace of Blender development is going to make even more artists join the Blender community to do their visual effect work. That's it for this video. Tell me in the comments below what do you think about using Blender for visual effects. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.